There we go. We're recording. You can see it on your end.
Yep, I can see it.
Boom. All right. First of all, what's up, Martin? How you doing today,
I'm good, man. I'm happy to be here. How are
dude?
you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm like super nervous right now. I'm sweating. I'm in my dungeon right now. You haven't been to the dungeon yet.
I haven't.
It's it's a makeshift. Well, it's nothing. It's a storage room. I was gonna say, I was gonna say it's my studio, but I guess whatever, man. It's a storage room. So and this is my first episode of the Stay the Course podcast, and it's via Skype. And I got my shades on because I even through the I know it's kind of douchey, huh? What are you shades indoors? Dude,
What
hold
does
on,
this guy think he is?
hold on, hold on, Martin. So you got to understand these things have prescription in them, so I can definitely see even in a dim room. You know what I mean? And I say that because my wife used to tell me, she goes, take your glasses off before we get into the church service. You know, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't see if I take them off. I
Yeah.
can't. So I'm in this dark auditorium, and I have my shades on, and part of me is like feeling like, man, you're such a dork, man, and then part of me is feeling like I don't care what people say, you know what I mean? But at the same time,
Yeah.
I just I couldn't get over it. Anyways, that's I'm being silly there, but there's actually well let's start. First of all, how's this whole pandemic thing treating you, man? I know that you've been from what I understand, what I've seen on social media, is that you've been kind of working from home. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely a new experience. Just especially when it comes to supervising people and trying to oversee your team and stuff like that. And so it's definitely been a new experience. And I know a lot of people don't even know how to navigate this. So it feels like we're all kind of learning together and at the same time. But so far, I mean, it's been good. My wife and I, luckily, are both able to work from home. So, we're here together, and my family, we're all safe and healthy. So, I mean, I can't complain.
Have you been quarantined the whole time? Have you guys been pretty much by the standards as far as like, hey, we're gonna stay indoors? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, I think half of the globe is really doing the social distancing and washing hands constantly and the hand
Mhm.
sanitizer and all that. But you yourself, have you kind of stuck it out till now, or are you guys slowly easing your way out? What's that?
Yeah. I think these last maybe like 2 weeks, we've been more like out and about and just kind of living life as normal as possible, I guess you can say. But at the beginning, I'm already naturally a germaphobe.
Oh
So
no!
yeah. So this was like, yo, this is the perfect excuse for me to stay in,
Oh
not have
no!
not have to touch anything that I felt didn't wasn't clean or anything like that. So it was bad at the beginning because my anxiety was just through the roof. But I think the longer it's gone out, and the more things, stores, and all this, all these types of companies and things are trying to do, I feel a little bit more, okay with like, all right, we can go ahead and go to the store for 20
Right.
minutes or whatever.
Oh my.
But yeah, it was tough at the beginning. But yeah, we're slowly easing our way out. And I mean, I know my wife, she's opposite of me. So she's been itching to go shopping and do all these things. So but yeah, I mean, slowly but surely we'll be able to start living our normal again.
How crazy is that, man? That just one day to another, it's like stay home. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I really freaked out, Martin. Like in the beginning.
Yeah.
So you said something really cool. In my eyes, it's cool now because I feel like I'm part of the gang now. Is that? But you said your anxiety kicked in, you
Yeah.
know. And same thing for me, man. Especially because I had somebody that I knew that like tested positive. Lost his, the guy lost his he's a friend from work, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I did see that.
he lost his wife, dude. He lost his father-in-law.
Mhm.
He pushed through, but I mean, in the beginning, it was super real, man. So I was freaking out, man. I was like, oh my god, did this guy touch anything here? I mean, I was very iffy, bro. because we
Hmm.
don't know anything, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
We don't know what the heck is going on. I mean, obviously now with the new social media, but there's so many different angles to this, dude, that I don't, sometimes I'm confused. Where I'm like, okay, who's telling me the truth now, man? I don't
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
And like you get people saying it's a hoax. I mean, I'm sure you've heard everything. It's a
Hmm.
hoax. It's a conspiracy. It's a new world order.
Hmm.
Just there's everything, right?
Yeah.
But I really, really freaked out, man. And for the first 2, 3 weeks, man, I'd come home. This is no lie. At the door, I would strip down to my boxers
Hmm.
and I'd go straight into the shower because I was like super terrified,
Yeah.
super terrified, bro.
Yeah.
And but now as time's gone by, man, I'm like, okay, well, I look around, man. I took my kids the other day. I think this is something special to
Hmm.
go do the celebrate the National Chocolate Ice Cream Day. You know,
Oh,
so
nice. Okay.
so my wife used it as an excuse to get us to take the boys out. So
Yeah.
we took them out. We took them out to go get that little an ice cream. What is that? Sugar waffle down
Uh-huh.
at the boardwalk.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So they have little
Uh-huh.
ice cream shops. So we went down to the boardwalk. We posted up. I was like still kind of nervous because I'm looking around and
Hmm.
like 70% of the population out there has no mask.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh my God, I don't know if it's such a good idea. But
Yeah.
but at the same time, dude, I don't want to be afraid, bro.
Hmm.
I don't want to. I don't want to live in that fear of like, hey, what's gonna happen? What's gonna
Hmm.
happen?
Hmm.
Even though I have experienced it, man. Have you or did you have somebody close to you that has tested or has passed away due to this whole thing? Or
Fortunately, no one that has passed away, but one of my uncles and my cousin, they did test positive for COVID. Um, and thankfully, they're fully recovered now, and they're doing just fine. It was a little scary for him because he does have some health issues. And I mean that's the big thing. If you have any type of health issue, it seems that COVID kind of it brings the worst out of those things. So thankfully he's fine. My cousin is fine. They're doing great. But other than that, I didn't personally know anyone else. I heard that there was someone from work that their husband may have gotten it, but I didn't hear anything past that. So,
mm,
yeah. So, fortunately, thankfully, gratefully, there wasn't anyone besides my uncle and my cousin that got it, and or anything worse than that.
fully recovered now, though, both of them.
Fully recovered. Yeah, they're doing fine. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now,
Yeah.
your cousin, was she asymptomatic to it? I mean, did she test positive and not have any of the symptoms, or did any of them experience the actual fevers and stuff like that?
Yeah, I believe they got the symptoms, and I know
Okay.
my cousin, she had posted on social media that she wasn't able to smell and taste.
Mm,
And so I think still right now she doesn't have a lot of taste. So I mean, I think they've already been recovered for maybe like a month now, and so she still has, you know, that
yeah.
side effect of it. So, but yeah, yeah, they ended up getting the symptoms.
Cool. So I have the guy that tested at work. He's actually gotten cleared through
Okay.
the district doctors and whoever else clears them outside of our district, our employers' doctors. I hope they did a good job, man, because I love the guy. He's a cool guy,
Yeah.
man. But I was like when man, okay. Um, if he watches this, I'm sure he's gonna watch this, bro. I love you, but man, sometimes I freak out. I'm a
Yeah.
dummy. I don't know how this plays out, man, because we don't know enough yet, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Martin, we still don't know enough.
Exactly.
You can test
Exactly.
negative, but what about it? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
are you susceptible to it? Can you still transmit it? I mean, I know they say
Mm-hmm.
negative, and to me, negative it means no.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I just I'm I watch. I try to really watch my social distancing
Yeah.
around
Mm-hmm.
everybody, but
Mm-hmm.
specifically with this buddy of mine, man. And I mean, nothing personal. It's just like it's still kind of my anxiety, still kind of.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that's the thing that made my anxiety just go through the roof is because especially at the beginning there was zero information on it. All we knew was that there was this virus that was coming and it was killing people.
Hmm.
And so when you have that information it's like, well, I don't want to die.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so let me do what I need to do to, to not get that. So, I mean, it was to the point where, I mean, we were getting, so far we've gotten all of our groceries delivered. And every time they would come, I was wiping down everything. I was putting everything in a separate bag, like just the whole nine, Um, and it's not until like now we got groceries delivered today, and I was just like, you know what? I haven't gotten it, and I'm just gonna believe that God has protected me this whole time, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get it. So I'm just gonna leave it. So, I just brought up my groceries. I was fine. I haven't thought about it. So I call that progress for sure.
That, that's for sure progress, man.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's funny is that I saw that when you posted that you got the Lysol wipes in, and I was like, oh my god, this guy scored because because I was extremely happy when I
Yeah.
found my little like bottle of hand sanitizer. I was like, bro, I'm safe.
Yeah.
It was like a protective shield came upon my body at that moment.
I felt the exact same way. I was like, yo, I could go out and face the world now. Now that I got
Exactly.
the, now that I got these Clorox wipes waiting for me.
That's hilarious, bro. That's awesome,
Yeah.
dude. Hey, so back on that anxiety, man, because the last we spoke one time and we were fairly new at getting to know each other, and you
Mhm.
talked a little bit about your depression, man. But right now you talked about anxiety, and I wanted to see what kind of how did you find out that you had this anxiety issue, man, or what was it that triggered it in the beginning to for you to say, oh my God, like what, like, were you know, did you notice some kind of a difference and ask yourself why and what was that?
Yeah, I think I started noticing it after I graduated high school. Um, After I graduated, I just kind of felt like I didn't know what I was going to do. School, job, everything. I just didn't know what was going to happen. I had zero plan at all. So that in itself just caused me a lot of stress. And then in that, I think turned into anxiety. And I was having panic attacks that I didn't know what they were. I didn't know how to put a name to it, anything like that. But it just felt like I couldn't breathe. Like I just had this pain in my chest. And actually, I was telling my wife a couple weeks ago that I've been to the hospital, like had my heart tested maybe like 4 or 5 times. And every single time the doctor has told me, dude, you're healthy, your heart is fine. And all of that is anxiety. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there were times where I could not go to sleep. I was just wide awake, just thinking about stuff, random stuff. And it would just cause me to feel anxious, and then I would feel like I couldn't breathe, and then it felt like I was having a heart attack, and then it was like, mom, dad, you got to take me to the hospital type of thing. um, so now that I know what it is, now that I know what happens, I feel I'm more in control of it. Because it comes sometimes. I'm not even, well, I don't feel that I'm stressed or that I'm thinking about anything anxious, but it'll just come out of nowhere. um, but I can feel it. Like I almost feel, okay, my chest is starting to feel a certain kind of way. My breathing is a little bit more
Mm.
labored. Something's happening. So at that point, I just stop. I pause. I pray. I tell my wife, "This is happening. Just come sit by me if you can." Um, and then I just kind of hold on for the ride and I let it pass. And then I go on about my day. But I feel like now I don't let anxiety have more power over me than it should.
Mm.
I acknowledge it. I know that it's there. But now that I know the symptoms, now that I know how it feels, I'm able to control it. You know what I mean? A little bit better than in the past. In the past, I just let it rule my life to the point where I was depressed. And I think I discussed that with you too.
Mm.
Um, and it was a very hard season. um but now thankfully I just feel I'm able to control it better, and I have not, dealt with depression since I got over it. Thank God. So, yeah, I mean that's pretty much when I started kind of feeling it and starting to notice it.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, man. Were you able to detect what kind of things triggered that feeling? I mean, obviously you're saying like what I mean, but I think the pandemic that we're going through kind of triggered anxiety in a
Oh,
lot
for
of people.
sure.
But
Yeah.
but I mean, in a regular life or regular day, what kind of things trigger that? I mean, it's just the stress of life, or the stress of what is it for you? Can you
For
that you can because you just said that you can now you're more aware of it now that you understand it.
Mhm.
So what things trigger that?
So for me, it's just over analyzing situations. I overanalyze everything. And I'm a hypochondriac too. So if I feel something or if it's like, yo, this doesn't feel right, automatically go to, okay, how much time do I have on this earth? You
Oh,
know what I mean?
geez,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, like it can go from 0 to 100 pretty fast. And so it's not just my health, but it's just different things in life. If situations happen, if it affects our finances, if it affects different things, I'm just on way on where maybe I shouldn't be yet. And so it just causes me a lot of stress, just a lot of anxiety over those things. And so it's just overthinking, just over analytical, about different things, and that's usually the biggest trigger. um, Anything else, it's maybe just like stress. Like if I hear my wife, if I hear that she's stressed, like that may cause me a little bit of something, but it's mostly just over analyzing situations.
That comment hits home, man. I get the same way. I redline extremely fast, and I go. I'll give you an example, man. Just yesterday, yesterday was a good day for me, man. Despite everything, that's going on, my son Ezekiel, my oldest, he promoted,
Yeah, I saw that.
and
Congratulations. That's
thank,
awesome.
thank you, brother, man. I was extremely happy. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Right? The older I get, the more of a sissy I become, dude. I'm sorry. I, I get super, super emotional, bro. And I'm just like, what is going on with my life, dude? This is crazy. I'm this big dude, and I
Yeah.
cry over everything, bro.
Yeah.
Ah, man, I got to work on something, bro. But anyway, so yesterday was his promotion, man, and
Mhm.
I don't know about you. I don't know what kind of new things. We'll get into that right now. I don't know what kind of new things you've tried to do in order to like kill time through this time that we're in. But
Mhm.
I picked up on baking pizzas, bro. And
I've been seeing that, bro. Yo, I need to taste one of these pizzas. They look bomb.
dude, I'm gonna hook you guys up. I'm waiting I'm working on my kitchen still. We ran
Yeah.
into a little problem where I haven't been able to get the sink. But yesterday, uh, I baked 10 pizzas, bro.
Oh, wow.
But here's the thing. It was 91 or 92 degrees outside. So it was like 1,000 inside the kitchen.
Yeah.
So, but and something this small, and this is going to my anxiety, okay, and how I go from 0 to 100. I
Mhm.
redline extremely fast, even in the most simple things. So just put it in perspective. So if something is very simple and it redlines me this much, what if imagine what it gets like when it's something more important like finances, like parenting, like
Mhm.
being a husband. I mean, it goes 0 to 100 fast.
Yeah.
So I baked these pizzas, and the night before I prepped the dough, and I
Mhm.
asked, "Can I make it from scratch, bro? Because that's how I do it, man."
Dang.
And
Okay.
that's how I do it. And I told my wife, I said, "Hey, I ran out of parchment paper.
Mhm.
Paper, you put it in the pan,
Mhm.
and the pizza dough doesn't stick."
Right.
She goes, "I have wax paper," and I go, wax paper, parchment paper, paper," and she goes, "It's gonna work."
Yeah.
So we use it. So I put the wax paper in, and then I go and I prep the pizzas overnight.
Mhm.
Next day, everything's set to go, so that when at 4 o'clock, when people start hitting over to do the grab and go,
Mhm.
it's the pizzas are the oven is warm.
Mm-hmm.
So so I warm up the oven, throw the pizzas in, and when the pizzas are done, they look beautiful, golden crust. The cheese looks like spotted like lepers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So then I grab the pizza. I grab the pizza, and I go to take it off, and the wax paper is stuck to it, and I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, dude, I'm so stupid. Why did I even listen? Why did I
Yeah.
do this? I knew it wasn't gonna work, man. I'm dumb. I'm such a dummy, man. I should have never done this. And
Mm-hmm.
then my wife comes in and she's like, all right, calm down. She's like, calm down.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin comes in and she's like, I think we can fix this. So they start talking about it, but I'm in the corner like the world's gonna end, bro. It almost
Mm-hmm.
sounds like a 2-year-old tantrum, dude, because it's so
Yeah.
minor. But
Yeah.
I was just, because I wanted people to enjoy the pizza. I wanted it to
Right.
be a good
Right.
time for people. So
Right.
I was like in this vibe of like, yeah, man, I'm serving these people something that I made for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, it felt like everything fell to crap, and I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
what is going on? But I mean, literally, I went from having a good time, boom, to just,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so that was pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you, me, we know each other now pretty well, and I feel like I can talk about this. I don't know how many people will agree with anything, or if it's going to be something that's maybe even not even talked about, but I want to talk about it. It
Mm-hmm.
was all. It was almost like my whole experience in the past. You know what the experience is. I don't even have to say it, and I believe that you understand what I'm talking about, man.
Mm-hmm.
I was crying for help, dude. I was crying out for help, and I didn't know how.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what was going on, Martin. I didn't know what was going on in my mind. I didn't know what was going on in my heart. I was just like, what is going on, dude? I failed at everything in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I had failed that I was trying to do for others, you know. And so but I now that I can sit back and think, I recognize that it was my anxiety, and I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to people asking for help, but I didn't know what I was asking help for.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so the
And people
best,
that have never gone through anxiety don't know how that is. So if you don't know how to ask for help, they definitely don't know how to help you. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And that's also another, circle of like, okay, well, I need help. Well, they don't understand me. Well, screw them. Well, you know what I mean? Like it's just this
yeah,
whole, yeah.
no, yeah, man, and so I did a lot of harm to myself. I did a lot of harm to my family. I did a lot of harm to others um, that I truly, genuinely cared about, but I just didn't know what was going on, and I felt like even that makes me feel like a complete failure
Hmm.
because I truly 100% believe that people were genuine with me,
Hmm.
and I didn't know how to um, how to handle it because of my issues.
Right.
And now that I can kind of detect when things are happening, I go to my wife. She'll be like, "Babe, this is what I'm feeling. I'm
Hmm.
feeling like this."
Yeah.
And if you know me, I'm like a and like Ellie's more like a yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like metal head banging music, and she's
Yeah.
like Rasta kicking back in the hammock, just listening to some reggae, some
Yeah.
Gregory Isaac or something,
Yeah.
and she helps kind of like bring me down and gather my thoughts. Like, okay, why are you feeling this way? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But it's
Yep.
just anxiety is a very very real thing, and I don't know that a lot of people really understand it, bro. I don't know that
Mhm.
a lot of people. I think people are still getting like almost like educated on it. Is that safe to
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I feel like, I mean, because there's a lot of people too that tell me, yeah, well, I have anxiety too. And yeah, we all have different levels of anxiety. That's very true. But I think what people fail to understand is that sometimes anxiety can be debilitating to the point where you just don't want to do anything. It literally runs your whole life. And
Yeah,
people don't understand that. People don't understand how that feels. And so people can try and sympathize with you, and people can try and say they understand, but until
yeah,
you have an actual panic attack or until you have a situation where you feel your anxiety is just running your life, that's where it's a little bit different than just, I kind of have the blues about something, or, I'm just kind of, anxious about a situation, but you don't let it, control every facet of your life. And that's where that line, I think, is at. Um, and that's why I feel like people like us really do need to stick together, because only we understand each other. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And it is kind of like a game, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you
dude.
you don't get jumped into this physically, but you get jumped mentally. You know what I mean?
Uh, and that could be a little more brutal than an actual physical jumping, dude.
Oh, for sure,
But
yeah.
you know, so it's so funny, man. So now that we're on that subject, what can you and I do to let people know how to take this stuff? That when we come to people, like
Hmm.
honestly, like now I'm a little bit open. See, my this podcast, bro, the Stay the Course thing,
Hmm.
it allows me to uh, communicate to. I wanted to say verbalate, but I don't think that's the word. What am I looking for?
Verbalize, maybe.
Verbalize. Thank you. Verbalate. I'm trying to verbalate here. I'm trying to verbalize
Yeah.
uh, what I'm feeling through the podcast and trying to get people to understand what's happening, man. Because I don't think that I had the chance to really tell people what was going on
Hmm.
when I was in the thick of it.
Hmm.
So, what can you and I do or tell people as far as anxiety goes? How to approach us or people that deal with it? How do we approach people that are dealing with it? What's a suggestion?
For me, I think for someone that has never dealt with it, like anything, I subscribe to the idea of just admitting that you don't know everything. And so if you know that you don't know about anxiety, then your job at that point is to listen. And so for people that have never gone through that, I think the best thing they can do is just to listen to what the person is telling you. Um, for me, I've never been about, okay, I want advice about anxiety. I just need someone there with me, you know? So whatever that is, if that is, we go out for a ride somewhere, or we go to the park, walk to the park, whatever it is, talk on the phone, as long as you're just there for that person, I think that's the biggest thing. And not trying to, well, why don't you try this? Well, why don't you do this? Well, why don't you do this? You know what I mean? Because like we've probably tried that
I was just
already. You know?
I was just gonna say that we
Hmm.
probably already tried it and we
Yep.
know it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to keep going? Add anything or?
Yeah, and just for people that are currently dealing with it, how we can approach it, I think is really the same way, because we know what it feels like to just have someone there, and we know what it feels like trying to be told what to do, then we know what not to do.
Hmm.
So just being able to approach that person, being there for them, listening to what they have to say, I think that's always the best thing, because I know for me, in my experience, just talking through it helped me find my way out whenever I was in such a deep anxiety. And I feel like that's really the best way, is when people are able to get their feelings off of their chest, off of their heart, and they're kind of verbalizing. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but they're just at least trying to talk about it. I mean, I think that's the most important thing. It's better than just bottling everything up. You know what I mean? So I think that's the best way in both situations. It's just being ready to listen, and not so much for a response, but just for understanding.
Right, because I think a lot of the times when you approach someone, and I'm saying this from experience, because I've done it to people, and
Hmm.
I've also experienced it from people,
Hmm.
where somebody would come to me and be like, "Dude, this is to my shame. I'm gonna say
Hmm.
this. I had somebody come up to me one time and be like, "Look, bro, I don't know what's happening, and this and that." And she started kind of, and I knew right away it was like, oh, something's messing with them, but I didn't have an answer, bro. I
Hmm.
didn't have an answer, but I still said something like a big dummy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I still said something. And I was just like, after I said it, and even after I said it, it was kind of like it didn't really sink in until afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember exactly what I told the guy. I was like, dude, sometimes you just gotta man up, dude. And I was like,
Mm.
what? Think
Yeah.
about that, bro.
Yeah.
You know what, dude? I'll tell you this. I went to somebody with a problem, and I didn't even think about it till right now. Um, I probably have said it in the past, but really just kind of hit and triggered it right now. Is
Uh-huh.
that when I went to somebody very important to talk about this, I was told that I was throwing a tantrum, and part of it was like, what? Like
Mm.
that's your response to my cry for help,
Right,
you know?
right.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, it was the same thing. It was the same thing
Yeah.
that I did. It was the same thing that I did to the other guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel terrible about it now. But I didn't. Again, it was on you. I walked around with for so many years with this smile, like, "Hey,
Mm.
man, I'm good, bro. I'm
Yeah.
good. Everything's good." And then I come home and realize that the smile wasn't even a real part of what was going on. You know?
Yeah, yeah, and just to speak to that too, my mom, sometimes she would, to me, in my opinion, over worry about stuff, and I would just be like, Mom, like, why are you worried about that? Like, why are you so worried about that? When I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I started experiencing what I was experiencing, I was like, okay, I kind of get that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's just some things that are out of your control that you try and control. And I think that just is like, because I don't have a grip of this and I can't hold on to whatever it is that I'm stressing about, it just causes that anxiety, causes you to stress out way more, causes you to worry about way more. Um, and so, just what kind of to touch on what you were saying, I think it's very important that we try and walk through life with that lens of we don't know everything. And
Mm-hmm.
so people that are coming to us, we don't know their story. We don't know
Uh,
their issues. We don't know what's going on at home. Like you said, I mean, when I would see you at church and see you, smiling and doing, all this stuff, I mean, I didn't know in the background that you may have been dealing with, anxiety or depression or whatever it is that you were dealing with. And I
uh,
think it's super important for us to remember that is every time someone comes to speak to us, it's because they're trusting us with something. And if
yeah.
if that trust is betrayed by responses that we don't think about or we think is the right answer, a lot of times all it takes is for us to just shut up and listen and figure out, okay, this person is coming to me for a reason. All I need to do is just be there for them. So I know that I don't know everything. I know that I don't have all the answers, but I know I got 2 ears to listen.
Mm.
So if I can doubly listen to that person instead of talking, then I think that's just more of it just helps more than it hurts someone. You know what I mean?
Abs- Absolutely. I think a lot of people that deal with it are looking for someone to just hear them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I touched a little bit on the pizzas that I do, and the pizzas actually helped me get through this moment, helped me deal with my anxiety because I get focused into what the project that's at hand. That's the same thing that
Mm-hmm.
happened with the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
I gutted out my kitchen because I was like, okay, I got to do something because otherwise I'm gonna lose my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I go on bike rides. I go shoot my recurve bow. I
Mm-hmm.
uh, I do different things to try to distract me and keep because I feel like it helps my anxiety
Mm-hmm.
uh, come down or kind of
Yeah.
control it.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been doing to kind of help you throughout this time, or is it just kind of like just being aware and managing it?
Um, for me, I mean, I'm a very creative person, so I think the thing that I like to do is make music, write. So I've been making a lot of music because I've been wanting to release a lot of different songs and stuff like that, and that's also been um, something that has played into my over analyzing because every time I make something, I don't think it's good enough.
So do I.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm gonna tell you something because when you were first starting the podcast and you were saying, stay the course, that played, that inspired me a lot because I thought the same thing. I was like, you know what? If you just do it and you just release it, you don't know who it can impact, right? And so for me, I've been trying to tell myself that it's like, okay, I'm just gonna stay the course, and I'm just gonna make beats. I'm just gonna write, and I'm gonna release eventually. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Just release it regardless of what I think about it at that time. Maybe it'll bless somebody else. And so I just want to say thank you to you for what you've been doing and how you have been, touting that phrase, because I think it does help people like myself who are over analytical to just stay the course and just, allow the thing to unfold. And so I appreciate you doing that, because I feel like you've really inspired, I'm sure, more people than myself. And so I just want to thank you for that, now that you kind of brought that up. So I appreciate that a lot.
bro, I appreciate those words like you cannot imagine. I went back to listen to a couple of the older for the state of course because the Roar ones I had somebody helping me out and the guy
Right.
was a wizard.
Hmm.
But the second one, the beginning of the state of course, I was doing it by myself, and
Hmm.
half the time you couldn't even hear the guests, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" But I kept telling myself, "Stay the
Yeah.
course, keep
Yeah.
at it. You can figure it out. You can figure it out. You can figure it out. I
Hmm.
got to stop because there's times where I was just like, what am I doing? My
Hmm.
anxiety again. What am I doing? Why am I doing this,
Right.
man? It
Right.
sucks. Nobody's gonna listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if it sounds like that kind of quality. But then
Hmm.
all of a sudden, things start changing. I start figuring out little knobs here and there, and all of a sudden, it sounds a little bit better. And I think the last two have definitely exceeded my expectations so far.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I had to keep putting it out, and
Hmm.
there was plenty of times where I didn't want to, bro. I was just like, you know what, it sounds terrible. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. But then my wife was like, stay the course. You said it yourself, and I was like, ah. My wife is a jewel, bro.
Yeah.
She's a jewel. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, no. And what kind of so I know you do like the R&B type of music, but
Hmm.
what's the most recent project that you've putting out and that you've said to yourself like, oh my god, that one was fun.
There's actually a beat that I just completed. It's definitely, R&B, and it's a little bit more ambient. Um, and that one was really fun. I feel like I just kind of submersed myself into just the feeling of it, just the vibe of it. And I hadn't felt like that in a long time. I mean, in 2010, 2011, the studio was my life. I was in the studio all the time, and I was vibing to different music and with different people and different musicians. And so to kind of have that type of vibe and that type of feeling here by myself, I felt like that was a big deal. Um, and that's the one that I'm most excited to release. I'm actually gonna start writing to that one, so I'm really excited about that. And that one I'm actually gonna release first. So that's gonna be my first release since 2012.
Awesome.
I haven't released any music since then. So that's gonna be my first one, and I think a lot of people are gonna like it. It's a good vibe. It's just has this nice kind of feel to it. So yeah, I think that one's the one I've had the most fun with so far, for sure.
Dude, that's gonna be awesome. We'll all push that, man. We'll all push it. I
Awesome.
I wanted to say about oh my god, I drew the blank. I drew a blank right now. So ah, I lost the thought, bro. This is what Skype does, bro. It's the
Yeah,
5G. It's the 5G, bro. Well,
exactly.
so I guess we can move on. I mean, I hate to make it sound like an interview and stuff like that. I knew there was
Hmm.
something important. If it comes up to me, I'll bring it back up
For sure.
because it had to do with there it is. Thank you very much. So before this whole COVID thing, because I'm looking at the time and we got 40 minutes. I'm trying to get to the other topic, but
Uh-huh.
I also don't. I want to keep hearing this.
Hmm.
During the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, actually, the COVID, did you ever find yourself saying, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, or I'm too busy, this and that? And then all of a sudden, lockdown, and you're like, what do I do? And did you think immediately, like, now's the time? Or did it take a few minutes for it to sink in and be like, what am I doing? Why didn't I start this? What? How did that happen?
So it was the second one for
Oh,
sure. Um,
okay.
yeah. Actually, my wife and I have several check-ins with each other throughout the week where we just go to each other, we check in with each other, how we've been feeling, what we've been learning about each other, about ourselves. And one thing that I have learned during this pandemic is that I'm lazier than I ever gave myself credit for. And so I was saying that I didn't have a lot of time, but the fact is that I wasn't making enough time.
Mm,
And so at the beginning of the pandemic, when we were working here, after work, we would just shut off our work stuff and then we would, watch a movie or we would, just kind of hang out. And my wife would ask me, "Hey, like, are you gonna be working on any music today?" Or, "Hey, are you gonna be doing this?" Not pushing me, but kind of pushing me. You know what I
yeah.
mean? She
Trying to,
she knew, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so when I was thinking about it, and I was kind of having these feelings of like, okay, I need to do something, I need to do something, but I wasn't creating that time to do it because I was just lazy. And there was I was listening to another podcast, and they said something about when during this pandemic, a lot of people are saying, beforehand, I didn't have enough time to pursue my dreams. I didn't have time to pursue this or do that. But the fact is, a lot more people now are saying, "Hey, yo, I just binge watched all of Netflix or
Mm,
all of Hulu or all of this or all of that." And so it was never a matter about time, but it was more about laziness.
hmm.
And so I had to look at myself like, "Yo, you're being lazy, bro." Like there was you had all the time in the world before this pandemic, and you
Right.
just weren't making the time to do it. And so I've had a lot of time to reflect on myself, and I've had a lot of time to reflect on that part of myself, the lazy part of myself. And so unfortunately, I did not take advantage of the first maybe like 3 4 weeks
Mm,
of the pandemic, because I was just like, I'm tired from work and whatever. But it was just an excuse to not come up here and do more work.
right.
You know what I mean? Um, and then the other thing too, my wife was saying, we prayed specifically to buy a house that had a room that we can make into an office so that I would be able to come in here and do whatever I wanted to do with music and stuff like that. And now that I have it, I'm still making excuses as to why I
Mm,
can't do something. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So this pandemic has really made me face myself. Um, but to answer your question, I did not take advantage of that time at the beginning. That I am now. I mean, I feel like now I do feel on my game. I do feel a lot better. And I am making that time and that space to create. So, but yeah, man, I missed out on a lot of time for sure.
Dude, that well, I mean, it's still good that you're on track now. But
Yeah.
dude, when it first hit, I probably missed the first week, and I was like, "What am I doing?" Like right away, it was like, here's the funny part. That in my mind, my whole life has been chaos since the beginning. So
Mhm.
when this all like happened, to me, it was like life just was normal. Besides the
Mhm.
fact that I had to like be careful with a little bit extra stuff.
Right.
But I felt like the whole world came to like a screeching halt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's almost like if I was going 65 and everybody was doing 100, they had to pump the brakes to 40, and I felt like I was still in the lead.
Mhm.
So as soon as that happened, man, I told my wife, I'm like, dude, I need a webpage. She goes,
Mhm.
for what? I said, I don't know, not yet, but I need one.
Mhm.
And I was like, I've always said I don't have the time, I didn't have the money.
Mhm.
Fortunately, we've had both, and I was like, let me get the webpage. And then I was like, I need to do a podcast because I can't have the webpage because my whole thing has always been I need a website so that I can monetize from it.
Mhm.
I still don't know how. I'm trying to figure this out.
Mhm.
But the podcast and the YouTube channel is a start right now until I figure out what else is happening.
Mhm.
But my whole point is that within the week, I grabbed the stuff. Within 2 weeks, the stuff was delivered. Maybe 3 weeks, I had to get it delivered.
Mm-hmm.
But I was already thinking, what am I going to do? What are we going to?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to approach this? And I'm so happy I did it, Martin.
Yeah, man.
There's a lot of things that I feel proud of, but this is probably one of the most
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't involve obviously like family and things like that. The
Right,
real
right.
important stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so one last thing, I mean, I took up way too much time. So hopefully, if we go a little bit over, it doesn't matter. I don't want to go too far over, but
Mm-hmm.
the whole George Floyd thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that you were very, very passionate about certain things, and to be honest with you, I found myself on the wall for a lot of things because I don't do a lot of research until it's time to get there. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was like, okay, George Floyd was murdered. I believe that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, even as somebody that is a huge fan of jiu-jitsu and is a huge fan of submission holds that cut off the blood flow to the brain, which is the carotid vein.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a I believe that people with the proper training uh, can use that as self-defense and not kill anyone.
Right.
The guy was completely wrong for putting his knee on the guy's neck
Yeah.
while on social media. But you went. What is your passion behind the whole thing that happened? What I mean, we're running out of time. We're at 46 minutes. But
Mm-hmm.
tell me as much as you can as far as what you thought, how it affected you, and what do you want to say about it?
Sure. So I think the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because the black community has given to me more than I think anyone really realizes. When I was younger, I was discriminated against by my own people. And so, because I didn't speak Spanish well, because I didn't grow up with, a great sense of pride for Mexican culture,
Mm,
you know, I didn't grow up like a typical Mexican.
right.
I grew up, my dad is a hip hop head, so I grew up listening to Ice Cube and Snoop and, Run DMC and, all the old school,
Beastie
hip hop
Boys
and
and
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And so just growing up with all of that and growing up with all the old school R&B and just seeing how my parents, just the different types of relationships that they cultivated with other people. I just didn't grow up, as that typical Mexican, I guess you
Hmm.
can say. And so, growing up in school, I got not bullied, but discriminated against a lot because of that. Um, I can't tell you how many times I was told I wasn't Mexican enough just because I didn't speak Spanish well or stuff like that. And so I was able to relate with and kind of speak to on a different level with the black community. And I had a lot of black friends. I still have friends that are black, that are African American, and I just respect the culture so much. Like I said, I just
Hmm.
think it's given me a lot. It made me feel accepted. It made me feel wanted. It made me feel like I was a part of something. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why I'm just so passionate about it. There's people that I call auntie and uncle. And they're black. So because I just feel so close to them and I love them so much, and so. Um, I just feel that it spoke to me on a different level. Obviously, I'm not black, so I could never know what that experience is like when you're living your life and you're fearful of doing normal stuff, especially, when Ahmaud Arbery came out, that whole thing
Mm.
came out when he was shot and killed, while he was jogging, stuff like that. I don't necessarily have to worry about that. You know what I mean? And have I been, profiled by the cops? Yes. I have been followed by the cops when I was walking on the street and they were asking me questions that, they should not have been asking me. But I've never had to be fearful. You know what I mean? Of just doing
Right.
normal stuff. And so I just felt it called to me a lot. You know, and it's not just George Floyd's situation, but it's just as a whole. You know what I mean? Just justice as a whole. Um, you know, Black Lives Matter in the Black community, I don't think they are asking for anything more than just to be treated fairly. You know, and I mean, I see a lot of people too that take Black Lives Matter as way left than it should.
Right.
And a lot of people are seeing Black Lives Matter as Black Lives Matter more when it should be Black Lives Matter also, or Black
Right.
Lives Matter too. And so I personally don't think, you know, the Black community is saying anything more than that. You know, they just want to be treated fairly. And I'm 100% with that. I mean, and this is not just for the Black community, but it's also for people, you know, that are in my own race and my own culture. You know, I mean, how many times has a Mexican that was born here, you know, or of Mexican descent that was born here, have been discriminated against and have been told to go back to Mexico where they came from, just simply because they're living or they're speaking Spanish. So I'm just passionate about this in general. I just feel that there's a lot of things that need to be corrected. But this came at this time. And so this is where my passion and my heart lies at, you know, right now. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's why I feel and I felt so passionate about it. And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Right. It's funny because when I saw what you were posting, like you posted, I think you posted something to the effect. I wish I had it. I should have pulled it up, where it was like, if all you see is a riot and something's wrong in your
Right.
heart or something to that effect. Correct.
Right. Hmm.
And I saw that and I was like, because in the beginning I was like, okay, it was wrong. That was unjust.
Hmm.
Let's call it what it is.
Hmm.
Um, and then when I saw the rooting, I was kind of a little bit upset. I was like, Jesus, man, like that doesn't do any good. And I automatically, instantly put it all on one cause.
Sure.
In
Hmm.
my brain, it would all went towards one cause. Like, oh, see what happens.
Hmm.
And then the more I started to hear, the more I started to see. Especially, I I have a hard time when I retain more stuff when I listen. I
Hmm.
retain more stuff when I watch. And so I saw, like, I think it was like Chad Veach or Carl Lentz go out there and saying, "Look, man, we're not saying that all lives don't matter, but right
Hmm.
now we're saying that people need to know that Black lives matter as well.
Right. Right.
Like right now,
Hmm.
you know."
Exactly.
And to me, that was like the perfect way to explain something that what was going on, and it made me feel more compassionate, more um, made my heart just kind of lean more into understanding what
Hmm.
was happening. Because,
Right.
like you said, in my house, we don't teach black and white.
Right.
In my house, so because you're not involved in it, you don't see it often. It kind of just plays like your background. Your
Hmm.
background is kind of blurry in the background
Yeah.
because we don't live it day to day. But
Hmm.
I had the chance to talk to a friend of mine. I was at work. I was like, Tony, man, I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, but I need to ask you. He's a black guy. I said,
Hmm.
how do you feel about this, man? And he goes, bro, this has been happening way too long.
Hmm.
I don't agree. He told me, I don't agree with the riots and the looting,
Hmm.
but our voice is finally getting heard.
Hmm.
And I was just like, oh my god. I mean, the conversation was longer, but I'm
Right.
saying in a nutshell, this is what he was telling me.
Right.
Go ahead.
Hmm. No, yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean, that's exactly what I was saying with that post, because I actually got you know, some pushback with that comment, with that post, because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, so you are okay with the looting and with people destroying businesses and all this kind of stuff?" And I'm like, "No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you saw your brother getting killed, and then you saw your sister getting killed, then you see your mom getting killed, then you see their uncles getting killed, then you see their friends getting killed. Wouldn't at some point you start to get upset? And this is not, this is, I want to, put a disclaimer on this too, is that to be, you know, you know, looters were looting and protesters were protesting.
Hmm.
So I'm not trying to, mix these groups up, because that's not at all what was happening. But what I am saying that is, if that looting and rioting was a manifestation of somebody being upset because of something, why, like, how can you not put yourself in that person's shoes and think, oh shoot, like, if that happened to me, or if I saw all of these people getting killed around me that are of my community, then yeah, I'm gonna be pissed off too, and something's gonna happen, so that was my stance on that. I mean, I completely agree with you. I don't agree with the looting, and I don't agree with the destruction that was happening, but I can see if someone were to do that because they were pissed off about what was happening, I can understand that.
Enough was enough. I think it was that was the
Sure.
that cliche of the straw that broke the camel's back. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, because it's been
Exactly.
happening, especially, dude. That one with forgive me, the Aubrey, what was
Uh-huh.
it? The
Ahmad Arbery.
Ahmad Arbery.
Uh-huh.
That was, somebody said, and I agree with, that was a hunt, bro.
Yeah,
That
it
was a
was.
hunt. That was somebody going out trying to catch a bison I mean, or an elk. You
Mm-hmm.
know, literally, hey, the guy's running and they're on his tail and they're like, okay, let's get this guy. That
Yeah.
was, and that was that was. I honestly, man, it all sucks. All of it
Yeah.
sucks, man. And but I am 100% with you as far as there is still a lot of injustice,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw people posting things about going out to vote, going out supporting black businesses,
Mm-hmm.
going out and donating to black funds,
Mm-hmm.
uh, black colleges, and I think that if people really want to do something, they should. I mean, I would say that every penny counts.
Yeah, for sure. And I would also say too, I mean, this is where that whole thing about listening and telling yourself that you don't know everything, this is where it comes into play. And
Mm-hmm.
I tell myself that too. Like I said, I am not a black man. So I don't know everything. I don't know how a black person feels about, like I said, just going out for normal stuff and being fearful of being stopped by the cops or whatever the case may be. So that's where I start. I start at, I don't know anything, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to receive whatever it is that I can learn, and I can be an ally to justice. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think a lot of it has to do with just having those conversations, having those tough conversations, and being willing to admit that, maybe there are some, there's some racism that is in our hearts or in our minds because of what we see or what we've been taught growing up, that needs to be identified and that needs to be dealt with, and start there. I mean, it all starts in the heart and it all starts in the home, what's being taught. You know what I mean? And so there's nothing is going to change if we don't start there first. And so just being able to identify that, having those conversations with people that are black, like, what is their experience? How can we help, them? How can we be allies to them and their family in the community? And then also reading, reading, watching. I mean, Netflix did a really great job. I don't know if you've gone into Netflix lately, but
Oh yeah.
they have like a row of just films and documentaries that you can watch to become more informed about what's going on. And so I definitely recommend that. Just be open to receive that information. Because if we were walking in their shoes, we'd want for people to fight for us also. We'd want for people to speak up for us also. You know what I mean? So I think it just starts there. It's just being willing to be open, identify things that's going on, be willing to change it, be willing to have those conversations, and that's where it all starts to make a change.
I agree with that 100%, man. Um, bro, We've been at it for about an hour now. It's so crazy.
Yeah, it
I
went
had
by
such
fast.
I had such a good time talking to you, man.
So,
I hope that sometime in the future, when all this stuff changes and settles down, we can get together and do an actual personal one-on-one podcast it and let it go
yeah.
for 2 3 hours. Because you sparked a bunch of other things
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to talk about. Both of us have a I would say he's a mutual friend. Our brother Ray, man,
Mm-hmm.
from church. I love that guy, bro. I
Same.
love that guy to death. I've heard some of his story. I've asked him what it was like for him in America as a young black man back when
Mm-hmm.
he was serving in the Marines, and he has
Mm-hmm.
a tremendous story, man.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also overcome all this, man.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
overcome, and so so I want to have him on here one day, hopefully. But Martin, man, it was so much fun. It was good to see you.
It was
I
good to see you too.
I'm seriously super happy that I was able to figure this out. Thank
Yeah.
you for bringing me on the Skype ride.
Of
And
course.
before we cut this out, man, is there anything you want to say to anybody? For anything you want to give any kind of advice? You know the podcast theme. I mean, I want to say theme, but I just love it, man.
Mhm.
What do you want to say?
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure right there. I mean, I guess just when it comes to like we were talking about earlier with anxiety, and even what we were just discussing, I just want to reiterate again, like a lot of times we just have to admit that we don't know everything, and just being willing to listen to the information that other people have. I mean that I feel like that's where it all starts. You know what I mean? It's just having those types of conversations, having those tough conversations, and having conversations to understand and not respond. And really wanting to learn and know what's going on. So that's for me. That's what I always subscribe to. That's what I stand by. And I try and live my life that way, where I want to listen to what people have to say, and take responsibility for any faults that I have, and any way that I wasn't being an ally to any type of person, and take accountability for that. So that's where it all can start.
Beautiful, man. Well, everybody, it's kind of weird. I don't know how this is going to play out, but I appreciate everybody tuning in for the Stay the Course podcast. This is my first video Skype call.
Mhm.
It will be going up on YouTube. You can follow. You can go check that out on Stay the Course SD. You can go check me out on Instagram at Stay the Course SD. Go check out Martin at Martin. What's your at? What's your
So
handle?
so my music handle is Martin Junior Music on Instagram, and on Facebook it's Martin Junior Music Official. You can find me there.
Boom. Go check him out. Martin, this is State of Course podcast. I always leave with this. I love you, brother.
I
And
love
I
you too,
hope,
man.
thank you. And I hope that we've kept it funky. I hope that we've kept it real. But most importantly, I hope that we've kept it G for everybody, man. Martin, I'm going to talk to you soon, brother. Thank you so
All
much for
right,
being
man.
on here with me.
All right, bro. You have a good one.
See you, brother. Have a good night, man.
Love.
Later.